First of all, if Lord of the Rings Online dies in the next couple of months, I'm going to feel really guilty. Because I did not mean to kill Tera. I do not want to be the harbinger of doom for the MMO world. I don't want to be the MMO Reaper. That's not the way this works. I like MMOs. I want more of them to survive. I want people to enjoy them.
Honestly, it's kind of a funny coincidence that Tera literally announced their closure shortly after Josh Strife's video about it came out. But I just don't believe that it's actually the reason on why this MMO died, even if Tera fans might see it that way. With a peak of 5,000 concurrent players on its release and a slow decline over years, it was probably inevitable that sooner or later it would probably close its doors.
I am inevitable.
Wildstar suffered from a similar fate when it released on Steam, and also had a peak concurrent player base of 5,000 gamers, with a slow decline until its eventual shutdown in November 2018. So this isn't anything new and roots in deeper issues that the game face in the grand scheme of things. Josh essentially had nothing to do with it, he only pointed out its flaws. But these problems can impact MMOs way more than any other genre, since they constantly need active players to make its content playable by everybody in all areas of the game, which leads to defensive behavior by fans when criticism is expressed. Video games go through highs and lows in their lifetime. With the right marketing, games usually boast the biggest player base right when it releases. Nowadays, with live service games and aggressive patching strategies, there are also a lot of cases of games that grow over time. One example being one of my favorite FPS by Crytek called Showdown.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
It released in February 2018 to a peak concurrent player number of 10,000, and didn't even reach its all-time peak of 34,000 until August last year, while still growing every month. Crytek achieved this by constantly improving on the game systems and creating great experiences for the players, which lead to a lot of word of mouth. Sometimes there's some kind of outside traction driven to games by streamers or content creators, which can lead to a literal blow up in player numbers, even after months of a game being released. But usually none of this happens, or at least not as extreme. More often than not, games slowly decline and get overshadowed by new releases or game design decisions that make the new player experience horrible. Josh is mainly an MMO content creator and always advocates for creating the best new player experience possible and minimizing quit moments, and he's 100% right. If you stand in the way of new players getting into your game and trying to play it, you're shooting yourself and your community in the foot. We're all people with limited time and attention span. Let's be real, even if we don't want to acknowledge it, how many times have we booted a game to just quit a couple of minutes in? Either we just didn't feel the game or it just couldn't hook us fast enough. Sure, that depends on the person, and some people tend to give games more time before making a judgment call and if they want to keep playing or not. But the reality is that a lot of us don't give games many chances to hook us, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Especially for MMOs, I've become really picky, with the only one that really survived for me being Guild Wars 2. Even if I haven't been playing it as much as I used to, I still have fond memories of it and can wholeheartedly recommend it to anybody with the new player experience being pretty good overall and providing a very polished experience. Even nowadays, I still play with my buddies. Now, Guild Wars faces different issues by not explaining enough to players to be ready for endgame content and the difficulty it provides, but that's a topic for another day. Since day one, Guild Wars ticked all the boxes for me and was able to hook me immediately, with its presentation, consistent art style, and combat system, with the design of the open world making up the majority of its appeal. But most MMOs fail in these areas, which is the reason why only a couple of games ever make it big and appear at the top of players' favorite MMO list. I'm still bummed out that Wildstar wasn't able to stand the test of time, since I was actually pretty excited for its release back in 2014. But it just didn't tick enough boxes, with many players quitting earlier than expected and leaving not even a week in. Sure, the height of these games never lasts long, but it still wasn't a great sign, and it has had its issues that plagued it throughout its lifetime. I'll link Nerdslayer's Death of a Game for Wildstar in the video description if you're interested in hearing more about it. Ultimately, MMOs live and die by their ability to not only keep players engaged, but also to not stand in their way, which in my opinion way too many games still do. Game design isn't easy, but some decisions just seem baffling to me. Even if they're made to create an urge for spending money, I sometimes wonder if they couldn't make more by appealing to a greater audience for longer by making a good game. But who knows? Tera's death is just another case of not being able to keep players interested or not even attract them in the first place. It's the same fate that many MMOs face sooner or later unless they breach into quote-unquote mainstream and are able to stay there. Honestly, I didn't even know this many MMOs still existed until watching some of Josh's worst MMO ever videos. I mean, there's a Digimon MMO. What am I seeing?
The opening is nonsensical, the 3-hour-long tutorial is incredibly dull, the quests are so repetitive it's bordering on satire of the genre. The plot is in no way connected to any of the gameplay events, the controls and systems are incredibly badly explained, the new player experience is badly structured, and small mistakes highlight the lack of care this game has been made with, such as how all the text boxes have overflowing words and letters, essential systems are never once mentioned, and for some reason, despite playing on an English server, my Digimon speaks to me and offers me vital gameplay advice in Spanish.
First impressions matter as much as creating longevity, and as long as MMOs don't nail these parts and create a cohesive experience, they'll come and go. And since they're pretty expensive to make, it seems wrong to just let these games fall off and die. But only time will tell on how this is going to go in the future. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video and that your MMO of choice may enjoy and live a long, fruitful life. We don't want the grave to grow more, and I hope to see you next time. Take care.